Do you remember the hit song on Githurai some years back? Mimi nimetoka Githurai, wasee wametoka Githurai. Well. Githurai 45 has burst into the national limelight. Many Kenyans will also know that that spot along Thika Road, around the Githurai 45 area, is a black spot. Many serious, terrible road accidents happen at that spot. And those who are spiritual will understand. But a very warm welcome to my show today, where I dig very deeply into what happened at Raila Odinga's rally in Githurai 45, where the former Prime Minister landed to launch his BBI campaign within Central Province. What really happened? Was the chaos spontaneous or it was caused, pre-planned? Find out the answers to all those questions and more on my show today. And I dare add, there's some very fascinating information at the tail end of the show today. It's not for everybody, but it is significant for those who understand. Karibu sana, and enjoy my show today. You can never analyze politics without the geography of the place where you're analyzing the politics and without the history of that place. If you don't have these two things, you'll always get it wrong. Your accuracy will be left to luck, pure luck. That is what my late political lecturer always used to say, and he said it so frequently that even if I was slow, I would not have missed it. But I'd like to add a third, very vital and necessary thing you need to analyze politics accurately, especially in Africa. And that is the spiritual history of a place. Now, I'm aware I'm talking to a lot of people who have no time for that mambo jumbo. But I'm sorry. It is so important that if you have no idea about it, then chances are whatever you analyze will be at best half-cooked. Now, something happened yesterday at a place called Githurai 45 when former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga visited on a rally to promote the BBI. And the events of yesterday in Githurai 45 shocked many Kenyans, is disturbing many Kenyans, alarming them. What is the country's politics coming to? And several of you have demanded that I must analyze this event so that they can get some clue as to where we're headed. For many, so that they can confirm their worst fears and their worst nightmares. Now, for starters, Githurai 45 is not in Nairobi. Neither is it in the outskirts of Nairobi. It is in Kiambu County, Central Province. In fact, those who followed this event of Raila Odinga closely will know that on arriving at Githurai, the first thing Raila did was to cut a tape that had been put across Thika Road to signify his entrance into Central Province. That's geography. Now, spiritually, iko shida kubwa sana. But let me come back to that at the tail end of this show. Now, in case you didn't know, Raila Odinga handlers and Raila Odinga expected trouble in Githurai. Oh yes. And if anybody in their team doubted that there'd be trouble, that doubt would have flown out of the window as a result of the behavior of bloggers linked to the deputy president, what they were saying online. But Raila still went. For those who have taken the trouble to understand a few things about Raila, you would know that the man hates cowards and he distances himself as far as possible from acts of cowardliness. So if you tell him don't go there, there's going to be trouble, that's the place where Raila will be very determined to go. In 2013, Raila was given a through pass to State House. He was told, just insist that Uhuru and Ruto are not supposed to run because they have cases to answer the ICC. It is unconstitutional. If you put enough pressure, everybody will join you, including the powerful international community, and they'll be disqualified from vying for the presidency. And it will then be very easy for you, Raila, to win the presidency. Raila rejected that idea immediately. He did not want the presidency on a silver platter. He did not want any excuses later that, oh, you won because so-and-so is not there. That is the character of the man. Like him or hate him. There is way too much evidence to suggest that Team Tanga Tanga organized this fracas. And my list is very long. Indeed, some of the information I was given on condition that I do not release it. Otherwise, it will blow the cover of those who gave me the information. So let me just give you 2 or 3 reasons why I have said what I have said. Number 1, it is in the KANU rulebook. And we know that the deputy president has been following the KANU rulebook. In his politics, he has been following it very closely. That's where he learned his politics. That's how he learned his politics. And as they say, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. Or to put it another way, you cannot unlearn what you have learned and what has been programmed into you for decades. You can't just wake up one morning and unlearn it all. Impossible. When multi-party democracy was allowed back into Kenya, we had what were called KANU zones. The opposition was not allowed to campaign in KANU zones. In fact, that was one of the main objectives of the infamous Youth for KANU 92, of which the deputy president at that time, William Samoei Ruto, was a member. Number 2, the youths causing the fracas positioned themselves very carefully close to an exit point into the Kiambu area, for those who know Githurai well. Spontaneous protests are not organized like that. They tend to gather momentum and happen on the spur of the moment. People don't have time to plan escape routes. Number 3, it has happened so many times that a pattern has clearly developed. You see, during the 2017 campaigns, Raila Odinga campaigned countrywide. Even in Central Province, he didn't have a problem. And remember, that was the time when anti-Raila passion was at its height in Central Province. Therefore, it was more likely that time for people to get angry and start shouting Uhuru's name every time Raila tries to speak somewhere. It didn't happen, but now it's happening. We even saw it more recently at the Bama market, where Raila spoke to people, attempted to speak to people. His rally was disrupted, in more or less the same way. So it is a pattern, and therefore we can assume it is a strategy, political strategy of Team Tanga Tanga. Why? Well, it's rather obvious. It is extremely important for the Deputy President to create the perception that he is very popular outside his native Rift Valley. That is critical if he is to win the 2022 presidential race. And one very effective way of doing this is doing exactly what was done in Githurai 45, so that the headlines read, supporters of Raila clash with supporters of DP Ruto in Githurai, in Central Province. So that people look at that headline and say, what? You mean this guy has his supporters even in Central Province? And they're so passionate, and they're in such large numbers, that some of them can actually clash with the Raila supporters? Folks, perception is 95% of the game of politics, as I keep on emphasizing on this channel. So much so that other political analysts are also starting to use that word very frequently. And of course, they're welcome. Now, when you play this kind of games in politics, usually your camouflage is something called chaos. The way it is usually done is exactly what we saw in the build-up to this Githurai 45 rally of Raila Odinga. You give the other side a heads up that there's going to be trouble, so that they organize their own goons to protect their man. But in this particular case, something went wrong. One of Raila's handlers played smart. And the result is that what was planned in secret has been exposed for anybody who is observant enough, and anybody who is not an emotional supporter of the Deputy President, to see. And the youths who had been organized to create this disturbance at Raila's meeting were careless. They forgot that there are cameras. People even have cameras on their phones these days. And therefore they were clearly captured, especially when they started stoning Raila's entourage as he left Githurai 45. And the result is, it would take very little detective work to trace at least a large number of those youths who were involved, who were hurling stones, because their faces were captured. Then they'll tell us if they were paid by Raila to stone his own entourage, disrupt his own meeting, or they were paid by DP Ruto supporters. They will even be able to tell us precisely how much they were paid. Now let's move to the spiritual. Na hapa ndio iko mambo. I agree with another analyst who said that if he was a Raila Odinga supporter, he would advise him to leave the promotion of the BBI within Central Province to President Uhuru Kenyatta, and not get mixed up in the chaotic Central Province politics. Just this morning, I made a revelation on our Telegram forum. By the way, you can become a member. I've put a link in the description area. It's also on your screens right now. You should join our Telegram forum. A lot of interesting things happening. I made revelations on our Telegram forum about the 1969 oaths taken by the Jomo Kenyatta presidency to keep the presidency within Kiambu County. It was a blood oath, and these kinds of oaths are very serious. The presidency was not even supposed to cross the Chania River into other Kikuyu communities. This is why when President Kibaki came into power in 2002, 2003, he did something spiritual and symbolic which many Kenyans did not notice. He crossed the River Chania at Thika with a presidential motorcade, purchased some fruit at a very famous fruit canning factory along Thika Road. I'm sure you know which one I'm referring to. And then headed back to Nairobi. You will also remember that President Kibaki had a near fatal accident, a very serious accident, at the junction of Machakos Turnoff and the Mombasa Main Road, the Nairobi-Mombasa Road. In fact, he was sworn in as president while on a wheelchair, and accompanied by his personal doctor and a nurse. It was a serious accident. What was done in 1969 has consequences. I'm afraid I cannot discuss so much in this video, but I will put a link to a video I did earlier on, a set of videos that explains it in great detail. Bottom line, I am very uneasy and I'm nervous as the BBI team crosses into Central Province with Raila Odinga to promote the BBI. What was done in 1969 has consequences. Let me just leave it at that, because I'm well aware many of us are not spiritual. But let me also quickly add that there are many who believe that the presidency of Mwai Kibaki was jinxed. There's so many funny, tragic things that happened. For instance, very early in his presidency, there was a plane crash in Busia that killed at least one cabinet minister. Others were badly injured. The former president's condition today, health-wise, is also not the best. And you can't say all these are coincidences. What was done in 1969 still has consequences today. And those in powerful positions or who have access to powerful people who are listening to this particular show today, I want to send a very important message to the powerful through you. What was done in 1969 worked because it was done by an authority. And therefore, we need an authority to break what was done in 1969 and to free Kenyans, and indeed to free our suffering brothers and sisters in the House of Mumbi. I know the wise will understand this is a purely spiritual matter. If you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate your like. And to guarantee that you never miss a fascinating video from me, kindly subscribe. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.